Greetings to all our learners. Welcome to CEC lecture. The topic of our lecture today is Understanding Role of MNCs in Global Politics and International Business. I am Dr. Amna. I teach political science at Shama Prasad Mukherjee College for Women, University of Delhi. Dear learners, in this lecture today, we will try to understand the role of multinational corporations and how state, institutions, individuals thereof are interrelated in global politics and international business also. The learning today shall also analyze mechanisms and other processes involved in the working of multinational companies that make them an important non-state actor in international relations. Let's understand that multinational corporations, when we look at them, today they are looked as an engine of economic development. They are an important avenue of technology transfer. They are looked at a factor for deepening globalization, and above all they are responsible for domestic growth also, as within domestic corporate framework they are setting up new subsidiaries in the host economies. When we look at the idea that how multinational corporations today are making an important impact, because networks today are becoming more global, at the same time regional too. Then there are aspects of vertical specialization, corporate network positions of MNCs, and amidst all this we see a phase of expansion of MNCs also. Now, corporate internationalization no doubt has been one of the developments of the past 20 years. The corporate structure of the world economy in the present time, say 2020, is quite different from what it was, say, at the time when the Cold War ended in 1990s. Today, the volume of world trade has increased, FDI has expanded rapidly, and then there is interrupted, regional, sectoral, global setbacks also that keep on happening. In this, we see that how today, with the realm of globalization, there is global expansion of direct investment, free movement of goods and services, demise of the Soviet bloc, integration of the global system of trade NFDI, and production sharing between stages of productions in corporate networks too. The current era is dominated by increased technological use, global interconnectedness, shifting demographics, competitive advantage. Innovation is driving out markets and aspect policy making of various nations, intensified competition among several business ventures. In this context, so therefore, multinational corporations are playing a very significant role in global innovation. They are responsible for movement of goods, services, capital, technology and labor. If globalization is leading to integration of the world economy, MNCs, namely by their impact or spillover from home country to various host countries around the globe, are playing an important role in the world economy, in the international business thereof. There is dispersion of knowledge to various subsidiaries. Global firms are willing to spend more funds today when you look at aspects of research and development. Then this is also leading to competitive advantage over the rival firm. So therefore, amidst all this, one of the advantages offered by new non-state actors like multinational corporations, MNCs and TNCs, is that they are becoming a crucial mode for technology transfer, creation of technology. They are paving way for strategic alliances and a primary source of foreign direct investments. Foreign firms establish their enterprises in host countries with national parties, partners and enterprises. The government, because of establishment of these things, definitely benefits, and therefore there are new avenues for international research and development hubs in the respective countries too. Today the idea of borderless economy has advanced, and today the debate is still on that when we look at the fact that after the end of the Cold War, the world economy and the IR thereof witnessed corporate level competitive interdependence. But however, even when you look at the working of MNCs and TNCs, the debate between industrial strength And on the other end, the ideas of economic nationalism are therefore always are in a mechanism of contest. Globalization in the current phase is being driven by neoliberalism. There's free flow of capital, goods and services. At the same time, many consider it as a threat also, because it has devastating economic and social consequences on majority of world population. In this aspect, nationalism, that is the need to promote national unity and patriotism, and a variant of this nationalism, that is economic nationalism or protectionism, that is identification with a particular country, promotion of the domestic. All these concepts are in a realm of debate, which also puts a question mark on the rampant globalization working of MNCs and TNCs thereof. Let's distinguish between FDI and FII. FDI, foreign direct investment, the type of investment into production or business in a country by an enterprise based in another country. FII, foreign institutional investment, investment fund based in the country other than the country in which the investment is made. FDI flows into the primary market, whereas FII flows into the secondary market. FDIs are therefore long-term investment, FIIs are therefore for short-term investment. When you're trying to understand the working of MNCs and TNCs, another concept, that is of home country versus the host country. Home country refers to the country where headquarter is located. Host country refers to the foreign countries where the company invests. Then it is also essential to distinguish between MNCs and TNCs. When you look at transnational corporations, they operate in many countries. TNCs, therefore, there isn't a centralized management system. Whereas multinational MNCs, multinational enterprises have a centralized management system which cannot be seen in a transnational enterprise. However, one similarity, that is both MNCs and TNCs have foreign affiliates and they operate around the world, and both are very significant anchors of world economy now. When you look at certain facts, that is facts in order to establish the role of MNCs, some of the reports of the United Nations tell us that 100 large multinational corporations control about 40% of global trade. Another inputs, when you look at it, over the past 100 years, the vast majority of world's largest multinational companies have either been Western European, where Volkswagen, Nestle, BP, American, to name examples here, Ford, Coca-Cola, P&G, or Japanese, Toyota, Sony, Mitsubishi. This also shows us that how the working of multinational companies is therefore critiqued from the point that is it a merely Western phenomena? Then since the turn of the century, new multinationals have emerged in new regions also, namely South Korea, when you look at Samsung, Hyundai, Mexico, when you look at China, Huawei, Lenovo. So therefore, and this information we have taken from Market Business News, this also tells us that how today multinational corporations from China to South Korea to Japan to Western Europe, they are an important non-state actor to contribute to world economy, world business, and also are an important input and bearer for domestic policy, economic policies of a respective of their respective nation states. What are the characteristics of a multinational corporations? See, not all businesses can be called multinational corporation. High assets, turnover, huge amount of assets, both physical and financial, network of branches, good quality products, continued growth in terms of mergers and acquisitions, production and marketing operations in different countries, then a huge amount of money on marketing and advertising and employing the best of talent. These are some of the very significant features of multinational corporations. From this also comes the idea of advantages that what MNCs and TNCs offer. See, they employ locals and foreign workers and therefore add an innovative realm to the dynamics of human resources. They lead to efficiencies because MNCs, through their rigorous marketing and other research-oriented initiatives, are able to reach their target markets, easily access raw materials, and they work on several other developmental aspects also. And the idea that how multinational corporations today are very good paymasters for respective people in their respective work zones. Then when you look at that, there are today different models of multinational corporations also. The centralized model, where companies put up as an executive headquarter in its home country and then build various manufacturing plants and production facilities in other countries. The regionalized model, where companies keep its headquarters in one country that supervises a collection of offices that are located in various countries. The multinational model, parent company operating in home country and puts up subsidiaries in different countries. Now, why many companies, when you look at newspaper reports, when you look at recent developments, why do they want to be MNCs? One of the reasons here is that when we look at the dynamics of working of economic forces, that is the need to capture international markets, access to better production cost. So all of it can be better achieved if a company tries to enhance its global competitiveness, and being an MNC definitely is an important help here. The multinationals are no doubt today force to reckon with. When you look at the fact that some of the 200 large multinational companies or clusters of or corporations which operate simultaneously in 20 or different nations and are joined together by common ownership and management strategy, all of it tells us that how today multinational firms are playing an important role for global trade and other avenues of world economy too. Then at the same time, there are other questions also, that why do multinational corporations seem to many nations to represent an important threat? Then another linked aspect, what is in fact the intended or the unintended roles that multinational corporations or TNCs may play in the decision-making apparatus of the particular state. Then another related question, that what can be then done to cushion or regulate the conflict that may arise between MNCs and say in their new areas. Now all of it in order to have better, deeper insights for the working of MNCs and TNCs in global economy, an important work here, Joseph S. Nye Jr., that is Multinationals, the Game and the Rules, Multinational Corporations in World Politics, Foreign Affairs, October 1974. It gives to us some important insights into all these questions. And what Nye said in 1974, let's recall that size and political impact of multinationals will continue to grow. And today when we look at 2020, these things definitely have an important bearing. Trade must take into account some of the disadvantages also that appear with large size, and the challenge to governments will come more from global scope and mobility in terms of the working of MNCs, and above all the challenges to the welfare goals of the governments and corporate mobility at the same time is also a challenge not only to small states but also to bigger states. So therefore what Joseph Nye said in 1974, and when we contrast it in 2020, it tells us that how the working of MNCs and TNCs in global economy and international business therefore has led to advantages as well as disadvantages. It has produced benefits, but however at the same time lead to several challenges and questions also. Today, when you look at that, how in the world scape there is rise of China, there are mega firms from Europe, Japan, other Far Eastern countries, the multinational countries, organized companies based in US are still dominating. Let's have a look at some of the data statistics fact. That is, when you look at 36 country data, we're quoting data from Fortune Global 500, MNCs from America 128, China 95, Japan 57, France 31, Britain and Germany 28, South Korea 17, Switzerland, Netherlands 13, Canada 10. All this tells us that how today the working of MNCs also in terms of their regional headquarters and their regional situational aspects is also taken into account, that is primarily situated in the aspect of rich countries, whereas developing and the underdeveloping countries are still to catch up here in this aspect. Some of the examples of MNCs: America's Walmart, the world's biggest corporation; China, Sinopec, BP, Royal Dutch, Shell in the oil industry. When you look at Japan, Toshiba, Hitachi, all of it are important examples. So therefore, what you see that when you are looking at the structure and working of MNCs, today the issues of MNCs bargaining power also comes into question. When you're looking at the structure and working of MNCs in global economy, its relation to scale economies also needs to be considered. Then product differentiation, and then at the same time that how bargaining strength of a host country is its ability to control the case and attractiveness of access to its national markets. And in this realm, let's take a very important theoretical work. Susan Strange presented to us a very important aspect in order to understand the international political economy. That is a multidisciplinary approach wherein range of options within which states and other groups and other individuals contested all major who gets the issue of what issues of politics both within the state and in the world economy. Strange defines these structures in terms of structures of power. That is, they are important determinant of power relations. The primary structure: security, production, finance, knowledge structure. The secondary structure, including that is the transport system, the trade, the energy, welfare power structures. Now, taking a cue from Susan Strange's work, Susan Strange, States and Market, 1988. It presents us the highlights of competitive environment of world economy, the structural power being more decisive than the relational or the bargaining power. The relational power, that is power of an individual group or a state to get another individual group or a state to do something it would not do otherwise. The structural power, that is power that shapes and determines the structures of world political economy within which the states, institutions, groups or individuals have to operate. So when you look at this analysis of structural power, the structural power then becomes the organizing engine of its respective structural domain, that is security, finance, energy amongst other, for longer periods becomes much more decisive than the outcome of relational bargaining power, in which the actors' choices are determined by the structures and which is limited to a particular social, economic and political context. In this Susan Strange framework, power, therefore, in other words, is not just concentrated in and does not stem from only one source, but can be found and derived from a number of structural domains. So therefore, when we are trying to understand this working of MNCs, one has to look at that how today MNCs and TNCs in the global economy are an important non-state actor having an ample amount of structural power. And this structural power, therefore, in terms of its reach, namely that is in terms of production, knowledge, financial aspects and the security aspect, is much more than decisive than the relational power. Then when you're also trying to look at the work of MNCs and TNCs, we have to take into account that today they are a significant anchor of world economy, and this significant anchor of world economy has a link therefore to a country's economic development too. For example, when we see that today in the state versus market debate, that if the state pulls out, then the market forces come in, and herein an important element is the working of MNCs, wherein it factors in, it filters in and presents new job opportunities, new choices to the consumers. When we try to understand the working of MNCs, one must also take into account that how MNCs today are having an important investment perspective from the realm of FDI as well as FII for a particular nation. And today, when you look at the fact that there is free flow of capital, goods and services and workers, MNCs have been an important player. Just like any concept in the political discourse, the working of MNCs also has been seen in a positive light as well as in a negative light by some. If at one point of time the advantages offered by MNCs, namely being a crucial mode for technology transfer, strategic alliances, source of foreign direct investment, reaching out to more people, ability to spend on research and development, competitive advantages over rival firm, then at the same time many consider it as a threat also. This gives us a critical perspective, that is, today there are concerns being raised on their harmful impact on the economy, environment, ecology, social and cultural consequences on the people of the respective state. Then when today the benefits of globalization are being debated with respect to deglobalization or calling back or reversing globalization, the working of MNCs also is under scanner, wherein at one point of time it is debated that should the state promote foreign entities and ignore the home industry? Should state subsidize its home industry, adopt a protectionist measure? And therefore the debate between nationalism and free trade is therefore always under light. The aspect that how FDI, which is a long-term investment definitely into the private market, is also questioned, that is the investment made by the MNC primarily for profit or for a larger social welfare goal, or that there is another critique, has the state given into private players and given up on its welfare duties? When we are trying to understand the work of MNCs and TNCs, one must look into account that how the distinction between home country and host country, that is home country where the headquarters is located, host country where the company invests. This also tells us how the circle of trade, how the circle of interchange and exchange operates via the working of MNC and TNC. One must also be careful, that is, in a TNC there isn't a centralized management system, whereas in a MNC there is a centralized management system. But however, regardless of this distinction, no doubt MNCs and TNCs have been an important anchor of world economy. They have foreign affiliates, they have operating around the world. That is, today they are having a significant stake and relation with the global trade also. Some of the MNCs are having their national annual budgets equal to GDP of several important states also. Then also when you look at the working of MNC and TNC, the geographical connotations, that is MNCs have been primarily from Western European, American, Japanese, Chinese, South Korean region also. This tells us that how today there is ample scope also for the developing world in order to enhance and reach out to more global market by looking into the dynamics of working of MNCs. Today, very essential that when you look at how there is a rampant network of branches, how there are a huge amount of assets and turnover, MNCs definitely with these characteristics are offering more advantages to the countries wherein they set up their offices, and then at the same time one has to take into account the idea of competition. How does a particular state then intervene in order to safeguard its domestic industry, its domestic firms with respect to the working of the MNCs? And herein also there is time and again a debate. So when you look at the different models of working of MNCs, from a centralized model to a regionalized model to a multinational model, the companies operate these models based on the particular geography wherein which they operate. And no doubt today many countries want to be MNCs in order to have better access and reach to larger international markets. So as trade and the dynamics of global trade goes much more complex and global today, by definite management strategies, branding and different aspects of offering more choices, MNCs definitely are a force to be reckoned with. Today, at the same time, MNCs are also representing new challenges for policy making, for regulating domestic industry, for the respective environment. So what Joseph Nye said in his article in 1974, that the size and political impact of MNCs will continue to grow, then there will be challenges, that because we have to take into account some of the disadvantages that come with the large scale and size of working of MNCs, namely that is the global scope, mobility from corporate sector, challenging the welfare goals of the government, amongst others. So therefore today MNCs as an important player for world economy are also a cause of concern too in terms of their structure and working. Now dear learners, as we conclude our learning today, we leave you with some readings. That is, you must read to Michael Y. Yoshiro's Japan's Multinational Enterprises, Cambridge Harvard University Press, 1976, a brilliant work to give us insights into working of MNCs. Richard P. Rummel's Strategy, Structures and Economic Performance, Boston, 1974, again a very important work to give us insights into the dynamics of working of MNCs and TNCs for the world economy. So we hope you enjoyed learning with us on the structure, on the aspects of working of MNCs and TNCs for global affairs and international business. You have our email address. Do write to us for any query. Thank you for being with us for this learning session.